Friday forum, last Friday of Q2 2022. Very hard to believe that we are already here, but June 24th, here we go. Big week as always. So Tim Ferriss, the 5-Bullet Friday is finally distributed as of right now, and we're starting to see some orders drip in, which is awesome. New checkout is live on all the partner pages. So appreciate all the work that everyone's been putting into all of these efforts. It is very cool to be here and to feel that we're right on the cusp of it, right on the cusp of this general availability. Strong week for blood. So the product marketing email that went out recently, and then all the initiatives that Braden's starting to undersee, and a lot of these smaller initiatives are starting to compound in the efforts that we put forward to grow some of these revenue streams. Subs had the best week to date, so 50% week over week, which is awesome to see. Real-time hardware access has been provided to partners and VIPs such as Matthew Walker, Joey Thurman, and Jesse Itzler. They're all now members and they're giving feedback about the experience. Very cool to see that. As far as the UK expansion goes, starting to develop the podcast and creator pipeline, or the infrastructure from a partnership perspective, so that as we ramp up to expansion and have more infrastructure in place, we've got these relationships there. We know how long it took in the US to build the network that we have now and build a lot of the infrastructure that has allowed us to get the traction and awareness. So doing that same thing in the UK, starting yesterday, starting weeks ago, it's very important that we're doing this, and we're doing this moving forward. From a US partnerships perspective, starting to finalize some of the details for second half of the year with paid spots for some of our partners like Dave Asprey, One Commune, new partner, but we're exploring opportunities there. And then the Art of Being Well. As far as analytics, so Paul and Jason and JM and Helena, everybody that has some contribution to data. Paul has now connected Google Search Console to Google Analytics. So we've got better insight into traffic and some of the patterns as far as where the traffic comes from and what we can do from it moving forward. The biggest consideration is taking into account the privacy policy and the way that we think about the data. So we don't want anything to ever breach that. But a lot of considerations gone into that and a lot of work. And so it's been great to see that get kicked off. YouTube, we hit 20K subs, or just over 20K subs. And now the Dr. Perlmutter and Casey video is the second most viewed video for Dr. Perlmutter on YouTube for all of the videos that he has up. So it's very cool to see that. And it's the #1 video for Casey. So just over 800,000 views, which is awesome, trending towards 1 million, and it'll probably get there in the next couple of weeks. And so as Paul says, what do we need to do to get the next 1 million, which is awesome, and we will do it. Happiness is at 92 for the week. It's been at over 90 for 8 weeks in a row, which is amazing. And support volumes are all very manageable. So kudos to everyone on the support team that's putting in the effort day over day, week over week, to make sure that members are well served. As far as what else do we have? So podcast, number of episodes went out. Haney, Chris, Ms., and then Casey did an episode with Nora Latori about kids and nutrition. Casey was on the Ultimate Health podcast. Dom was on Mind and Matter. The wearable challenge, so that's kicking off July 5th. Sissy's been doing a lot of work with Aaron Hansen and the team. Editorial projects, Haney's got, there's so many editorial projects on the go all the time. So Haney now has a doc where he's aggregated all of these projects, and you can see different statuses for some of the things that we have going on, because editorial continues to get more and more traction, and we're doing more from a content perspective. What else do we have? Allie. So Allie did a video on popcorn. When she first started Levels, she did this video on popcorn. She wanted to see what her metabolic response would be. And she was doing this interesting thing. Maybe we'll air quotes interesting. She was spraying water on the popcorn and putting salt on it so that it would minimize the fat content. And so she revisited this a couple years later, and she realized that, hey, by putting olive oil, by putting more fat, start to see a better glycemic response to the food, or metabolic response. So video there. Austin did one as far as the surprising causes of insulin resistance. Fantasia did one around migraines and sugar. And then there was a video, and it's also a podcast episode that went out with Casey, Jackie, and Ms., and talking more about feedback. And so sharing some stories and anecdotes of the way that we can create cohesion across the team from some of the interactions that we have week over week. And I believe that is it. So on to Michael. Welcome, Michael, special guest for the week. Michael is a physician. He's a member, and he's got some very interesting stories around what he's been doing with patients from a wearables perspective. So Michael, would love to hear more about your experience with levels, the way that you've been using wearables, where you think they're going from a healthcare perspective. And then what we always love to hear as a team is feedback about ways in which we can always improve. So let you take the floor and kick it off.
Great, thank you. Okay, sound check. Can everyone hear me okay? Just thumbs up. All right, great. Big fan of your company and everything and the audacious goal that you guys are trying to accomplish. As you can see, I'm an osteopathic integrative family physician. Used to be the director for Center for Integrative Medicine at UC San Diego, and have a background in computational neuroscience from college. And so finally got to see where technology is catching up with medicine. And I've been launching a clinic, kind of a virtual, somewhat of a virtual clinic to start with, but mainly looking at longitudinal time series in medicine. And the best way to go about doing that is I'm leaning heavily on the wearables market, because you can look at longitudinal time series. We do longitudinal time series in many other industries out there. Some of you might come from finance, some of you are in finance. So that's the best analogy that I use is you go to see your financial planner and they know all about you every day, about your accounts, what's happening. You go to see your doctor and we know nothing about you. We ask you questions and we're trying to get the answers from you. And sometimes that's not the best thing. So why don't we rely on data to do that? And I'm looking at the wearable consumer market because I just started looking at all of my patients who have these things on, and all information and continuous data streams are going to the cloud, they're going to Google, they're going to Amazon, and they're going to sell you a bunch of stuff that you probably don't need. So why can't I intercept some of those data streams and use it for good? What I've been doing is trying to kind of quote unquote wire up all of my patients with different wearable devices, whether it's continuous glucose monitors and using the app as levels. It's what you guys have. It's the Aura Ring, it's Apple Watch, it's Fitbits. It's, well, I'm staying agnostic to whatever the data stream is. I'm just trying to capture that data stream and see what sort of insights that we can gather from different patients and their lifestyle. And what I'm interested in is looking at some of the metadata. So, you know, I've had some a very similar call like this with the Aura team. And so how do we start combining some of the Aura and sleep data with the data from your company? How do we combine what we can see from the Apple Health Kit with the data from glucose, with the data coming from, you know, some devices that patients are using to monitor the micro weather in their environment? And so again, I'm looking at longitudinal time streams, and I think it's the way where I think medicine is going. But you can see a lot of these health companies are leaning towards that way anyway. Apple keeps getting more and more clearance for their device of doing more and more different things from an FDA perspective. And so a lot of these patients are finding useful insights in their life. And we're starting to see really interesting trends in some of the data streams from patients. You know, I'm more than happy to have a different call where you can show some of those insights that have been gained through, especially during COVID times, what patients are learning about themselves through different sleep patterns. But the glucose one is a really, really interesting one, because I think it's eye-opening for a lot of people, because the way they live their life, I don't think most people are aware, including myself. You're not aware of what your blood sugar is doing. You might have some sense of awareness of, I ate a whole loaf of white bread, what's going to happen, that sort of thing. But I had no clue what my own glucose was doing for my own stress response. I'll just use that as a perfect example that I use with other people, and that I intermittent fasting. And so, you know, my exercise is around 10 a.m., but I was noticing a huge spike in my blood sugars to 160 with nothing in my stomach, not even coffee, pretty much every morning at 8:15. And I talking to other moms who were doing the same thing with their Levels app. And I'm like, well, what's happening at 8:15? And we're all dropping our kids off at school. So from 8 o'clock to 8:15, it's like, get your shoes on, get out the door, we'll do this. And I'm like, that is more worse for my blood sugar than eating, you know, a piece of pizza or something. And so it's, again, these eye-opening insights. And I like to think that all of this technology and everything, what it does for the individual human, and I'll speak for myself, what it does is it makes you more, not only insightful, but it makes you more intuitive, right? So a lot of people say like, oh, I'm very intuitive about myself. And I'm like, are you really? You really know yourself that well? And so that's what I formed my whole clinic on, is the basis of know thee Satan, which is know thyself. And so how do you know thyself in today's digital age and everything? And so again, more than happy to share more insights later on. If you guys are interested, shoot me an email. I think a lot of you have my contact for my email, and I've met with Casey several times, and more than happy to chat. Love what you guys are doing. You know, my patients love this. I could get a few patients on as a focus group for you. They meet monthly about all of these different things and insights they learn with their data. So happy to do so and continue all the good work that you're doing.
Amazing. Appreciate all the insight, especially the anecdote of dropping kids off at school. I think a number of team members can attest to that. I don't know if anybody has tried eating pizza while dropping their kids off to school, but that is probably a pretty big metabolic response. If you do have any feedback about areas where, just based on product experience or any of our support experience, anything that you can offer as far as areas where we can continue to get better, would love to hear any little details like that.
Well, two things. One is your app is great. Like whoever the design team that you guys have for your app is really, I mean, part of my background from college is in user experience, user interface design. And so as far as getting individuals to learn about and how to do self-controlled studies, all that sort of stuff, I think it's very intuitive design. You guys are on the right track there. So keep doing that. One of the things that could be useful, again, is like working with a company now that's measuring continuous HRV monitoring, and so they're looking at like what other apps that they can link onto. So it's like, how can, again, like I was saying, I'm interested in the metadata around all of this. I know companies and IP get into like sticky situations, but being able to share different data streams, right, with different companies. So Apple Health Kit does grab, it's a big API grabber, but finding companies that are in that similar space of what you're trying to do. So sleep is a big function for metabolic health, you know, being able to share those data streams. The other thing that could be very useful within the app is you guys have great educational pieces, but being able to connect with the community. So for example, when I'm looking at my patient's data, like I do a Zoom call, we have to share their screen, they bring up one, another patient brings up their screen. The group of patients together are interested in sharing their data amongst each other. So having communities, shared communities of data, that could be really useful. I don't know if that's helpful at all.
Very, very helpful. And especially some of the anecdotes around accountability and visibility from we'll call it a micro community setting, or some of the use cases where you've seen just wanting to access data in these smaller groups. So
yeah, my professional triathletes, like I'm sure you guys know, that these are the crazy individuals on earth that just want to monitor everything. And so they're the ones that got together. It's like, hey, can we share our data? We want to train together, we want to do this, we want to compete. But then that kind of spilled over into like different groups. Of course, the diabetics, but then, you know, patients with Parkinson's notice that, you know, they have on-off periods of time with their meds with Parkinson's and glucose. And they're like, well, why can't I share my data with them? And so having, like I said, those kind of micro communities, can you opt in, join different groups? And, you know, I'm stitching it together myself on the back end with all my monitors and everything for the patients, but having an app that can do that would be useful.
Very cool. Well, appreciate you sharing all the insight, and you're more than welcome to say we've got a full meeting that goes right till 12:30 Central. I think you're Pacific, so 10:30 your time. And welcome to say if you have to hop off, totally fine too. So thank you again for joining us. Thanks for all your input.
No problem.
And everything you're doing as a Levels member.
Yeah, keep up the good work, everybody. And so, like, again, shoot me an email if anyone have any questions on how more anecdotes, all that sort of stuff. That's great.
Very cool. On to culture and kudos. So big week as far as a number of kudos things. Scott, Tuesday. So Tuesday was the summer solstice, and that was Scott's 1 year. So happy 1 year to Scott as of Tuesday, the 21st. Seattle, we had Natalie Vanderpump and Taylor do a meetup and a hike, which is cool to see Levels team and Levels community come together. San Francisco, we had a meetup with Sissy and Sonia and Ms. and Stoddy at Mrs. house for cooking. And then the next day they did pickleball, and somehow Ian managed to make his way into San Francisco just to play pickleball. So kudos to all 5 of you for that pickleball game. As far as kudos when it comes to work. So Tom was doing some exploration around this idea of a Levels approved program, and some of the outreach that he was doing within the network ended up being with Melissa Urban from Whole30, and everyone knows Whole30 has the Whole30 approved program. And so they've spent a lot of time developing that. And so Melissa provided a lot of feedback and insight and took time to really dig into what would it what would need to be true for this to happen for levels. And after assessing the opportunity and assessing the time that it would take to do this and do it well, the team gave feedback to a memo that Tom had written and ultimately decided not to move forward with this in the near term. And so rather than leaving it there, Tom reached out to Melissa and closed the loop with her and said, hey, we came to this decision. We appreciate all the feedback and all the help. Here's the document. Here's the memo that we created. Here's a short recap of Illume. And Melissa reached back out and said, great, I totally understand. She's invested all this time. I'm actually very interested in the full memo. And when you're ready to pursue it, I'm here to help you. So kudos to Tom for closing the loop, being transparent, addressing some of these difficult conversations, because it's not always easy to go back to people that have given us feedback and say, hey, we're kind of not going to do what you gave us feedback on. And then he documented it really well. So great example of that. Casey had flagged this, and yeah, appreciate all the work, Tommy, and everyone who's always following up with people in our network, because it really helps to build that confidence and trust in what we're doing. As far as other culture and kudos, so as of tomorrow, June 25th, we turn 3, and it is very, very hard to believe that June 25th, 2019 was the first day when Levels was officially incorporated. So here, these are not the only pillars, but these are some pillars of things that have happened in June of each year leading up to now. So June of 2019, the first logo, the Levels logo, and that was on emails, and it was on a bunch of the collateral that went out. So there were 3 team members, David, Josh, and Sam. Shortly after, Casey and Andrew followed in the fall. June of 20, so the waitlist hit 17,000 people, which was very exciting. There were 10 team members. Tom had joined in June of 20. By June of 21, we had 22 team members. So Scott had joined, and then Michelle Last came on as a contractor. And we were tracking Instagram growing to 32,000 followers, which is hard to believe that was a year ago. And we're at 109,000 now. So very cool to have watched that growing. And then YouTube, which didn't exist last year, is now at 24 million impressions have been generated. So from June of 21 at basically 0 to 24 million is a very cool jump. We're now at 53 full-time team members. So happy birthday, Levels. Happy birthday to everybody. And yeah, thank you for everyone's hard work and all of these cool pillars. We'll watch it grow. There's a document that Sonia is a DRI of, and if you haven't seen it, you can see the company timeline and the milestones of what happens month over month. And it's cool to look back at all these things. Company objectives. Levels shows you how food affects your health. Everyone knows this. If you're not working on this, please flag it. It's a priority for everyone. As far as liftoff update from JM, here we go.
Good afternoon and good morning. It is Thursday at 5 p.m. I wanted to give you a quick walkthrough async of what went on this week in Liftoff. You'll recall last week we started sending our first invites to existing subscribers. I mentioned on forum last week that I thought this email could be better. The team, starting on Monday morning, really hit the ground running and made this beautiful, which took not just writing and creating a new email, but also getting it through the IRB. Jesse, Stoddy, Ben, Jen, and others worked super fast to get this going, and it did much better. Our click-through rate on the old one was 26%, and this one was 35%. And 35 is more than 26, so that's good. But in all seriousness, this email hit a lot harder, and will continue going out every week to existing subscribers and members to get them to move in. As you'll recall, we try to send this right around the time, like a week or two before they'd be getting their next subscription shipment. That's on the existing side. On the new side, we started inviting off the wait list. We did a couple of tests this week. The first one actually had 4 different variations, a couple with the lifestyle photo and a couple with the app photo. Some had short text and some had long. And the winner by kind of a lot was short text and picture of the product, which is actually a similar lesson that we learned last year. So that really stands. And we rolled this out to about 5,000 people yesterday, another 1,000 this morning, and got the first 40 or so sales in new checkout. New checkout is live right now as of Thursday afternoon. Anyone going through will see it, not just waitlist invites, but everybody. Tomorrow, we're going to start the Tim Ferriss campaign. And I just want to show that on this link now, I'm sure others will be speaking about this, but on this link now, which is live, if you join Levels, you'll get the new checkout. And Maxine will be on in a moment to talk through that. It's been a very exciting week. If you want to know where we are, check out the departure schedule. I had a real flight this afternoon that was canceled. So the liftoff effort is more reliable than Delta Airlines, to say the least. Thanks to everyone who worked on this, including and especially Maxine, who I will now async pass the mic to. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me on the JM show. My bags are packed and I'm ready for liftoff.
All engine running.
Today, I'm going to go over some of the work that the engineering team has been doing in preparation for liftoff. So we have 2 new experiences, one for existing Levels members and one for new users. And the idea is to get more folks using Levels, fewer folks scanning if they don't want to, and to have people join our research study. So before I begin, huge thanks to JM, Scott, Maz, Steven, Chris, How, Jeremy, Ian, the rest of Eng support research. The whole team has been so helpful in helping Eng get lifted off. So without further ado, no more scanning. I get this email as an existing user and I want to upgrade my CGM. This sounds great. So I click the link and I'm prompted to join the Levels research study. And this is the new transfer portal for existing members. When I continue, then I fill out an eligibility questionnaire, which I have to be able to answer no to all of these questions in order to participate. I can answer no. So then I move on to the research study consent, which explains what participating in the research study means for me. Super helpful information. I love the sciences. I definitely want to sign up. So I'm going to sign my name to continue. And I have to sign my real name or else I will not be able to continue. So Maxine Whiteley is the name that we have on file. Maxine Whiteley is the name I signed. Let's go. Now, my medical questions are already filled in based on past medical consults that I've filled out as a Levels member. So this is super easy. I just verify that this information is still correct, which it is. If there's any questions I haven't filled out, I fill them out now. Then I get to pick my subscription cadence. I know I love Levels, so I want it every 30 days. And my address and card are correct. So super easy for me. Then the last step that I would do is purchase. So within a minute, now I am swapped from a manual scan to a real-time scan. And what an awesome experience that I'm gonna have as an existing Levels member. Now I'm gonna pause and then I'll show you what a new user is gonna see. Okay, so now I'm a new user. And let's say I've been following Levels for a while, but this real-time data access sounds amazing. This is the thing that's gonna really push me over the edge to try out Levels. So I select my sensor. I definitely want real-time. I have the eligibility questions show up here. I can answer no to all of these. If I couldn't, I can still complete a purchase. It will just be with the manual scan sensors. So now I'm gonna sign the research study consent here as well. So same information, and I have to sign, I can't just sign my first name. I'm gonna sign my first and my last name to continue. When I get to pick my subscription, I think I'm gonna start with just a single box of sensors because I am new to Levels, so I wanna experience it before I make a monthly commitment. And then I get to fill in my information here. And I can do some autofilling. This dropdown is super helpful because this makes sure that the address that we have on file for a new user is correct and avoids any shipping issues. I agree to the terms of service and I could read those if I wanted to. And then the last thing that I would do is put in my payment information. So it's that simple to get started as a new user. And I'm really excited to see what the real-time streaming experience is gonna be like for new users and existing users alike. Thanks.
Very cool. Love seeing it all come together. That's awesome. The autoplay. Here we go. Experimentation and learning. Braden with blood work update.
Hi everyone, I wanted to share an update on some initiatives around the metabolic health panel and the results of a survey that went out this week. This first chart shows the % of members who have ever ordered a metabolic health panel, and it groups the members into cohorts based on when they sign up for Levels. So this blue bar shows the % of members who signed up in January and have ordered a metabolic health panel. Then this yellow bar shows the % of members who signed up in January and have ever subscribed to CGM and ordered a metabolic health panel. Then this final green bar shows the sign-up rate among active subscribers who got started in January. So as you can see, in most months, the participation rate in the metabolic health panel is below 5%, but that percent significantly increases among members who use CGM with Levels for longer than 1 month. Jumping to the second chart, this shows the weekly orders for the metabolic health panel since it was first launched in November. And you'll see these 3 big jumps in orders, and these all coincided with emails about the metabolic health panel. This first one was the initial beta launch, followed by the full launch to our whole member base at that time. And then this final one was the product email that went out a few weeks ago and highlighted the metabolic health panel with sign-up info. So I think one thing that this shows is one reason that the metabolic health panel order rate is lower is due to awareness, and increasing awareness of this offering could go a long way in increasing the participation rate in the metabolic health panel. So big thanks to Jen, who's been working on an email that will go out to all new members with info on the metabolic health panel and how to sign up if they're interested. Okay, so jumping to the survey went out to 500 members who have completed the metabolic health panel, and we received a total of 86 submissions. The first question was around rating the experience across a few different aspects of the metabolic health panel. The lowest rated aspect was the value received for the price. So this was a theme that came up more below, so I'll jump into that later. But the two highest rated aspects of the experience were the actual logistics of the test. So the process of scheduling the appointment online and then having the phlebotomist come to their house and take the blood test was overall well rated, which is good to see. The next aspect surveyed was around the insights and education provided in the Levels app. This is another one that had mixed results. And these next two questions provide some more insight onto why some members rated this lower. The first question is around the understanding of the results, and the second question is around the what to do next and being confident that these members know how to improve their results. So you can see that in the first question, the understanding of the results was rated pretty highly. People were confident that they understood the results, and most either agreed or strongly agreed. The knowing what to do to improve the results, people weren't as confident in that, and you can see there's a meaningful percentage that either strongly disagreed, and many were undecided to this question. This next question asked about one idea that's been proposed to address some more of this feedback around interest in more personal guidance and advice. And this is a one-on-one consultation with a physician following the test for more personal guidance. And around 70% of members said they would be interested in this type of offering for $50. The next two questions were around the motivations for these members to complete the metabolic health panel, and did they learn what they're hoping to when they signed up. So these responses were pretty similar. Most were around establishing a baseline of their metabolic health status and these metrics, and then getting a more holistic view of their metabolic health beyond just glucose. Then a few other themes that came up were around measuring insulin resistance and inflammation. The question was around how often do these members plan on completing the metabolic health panel. Most members said they would be interested in completing the panel 2 to 4 times per year, and many of the other responses were at least 2 times per year as well. There are also a handful of people that said they're only interested in 1 time per year and they don't plan on doing it again. This was followed up by a question on what would make these members more interested in taking it more frequently. So unsurprisingly, the most common answer here was lowering the cost of the panel. The next one was around adding new tests to the panel that aren't currently available. And one final theme to call out here is that there are a few responses around people genuinely just asking, like, is it valuable to take more frequently than once, and how long do I need to wait to see changes? So this is one where it might be helpful to have some more education on the value of taking tests and what's a good cadence to take these tests. That was followed up by a question on what other tests people would be interested in seeing. So the most common responses were uric acid, LDL particle size, and vitamin D. These are all tests being considered for the panel to be added to the panel, so it's good to see that these are what members are interested in as well. The final freeform question was open-ended around anything else that would make the experience more valuable for these members. So a lot of similar themes here, but I'll go through a couple of them. The interpretation is robust, but the action plan is vague. So this was again around this member is looking for more what to do next, and they understand the results, but they want to know how to improve. Again, around the cost, which is a theme that came up in a few different spots. One member specifically mentioned the option to discuss the results one-on-one with a physician, more personalization from Levels, and then finally more on like actionable next steps and tangible lifestyle adjustments to improve. And finally, the last question was around was an MPS on the metabolic health panel, and the score is 8. I think there's a lot of learnings in the survey around how to improve to bring that number up over time. That's all. Thanks.
Amazing. Very cool, Braden. Everyone put in a lot of work to get the questions together for that survey. So Braden put forward some questions, and everyone influenced the way that survey came together. So all the qualitative feedback and some of the things that we can do from even a marker perspective, some of the things we can do from a support and awareness perspective, it keeps helping us make things better. So it's awesome to see that.
Hi, everyone.
Here we go. Hiring updates. Lynette will be joining us very soon in support. So July 11th, Taylor in October, and then Cosima is coming on as a senior product manager at the beginning of July 5th. And then Rebecca accepted an offer this week. So July 18th, she'll be joining us in support as well. So team is growing, and that is awesome to see.
I wanted to share with everyone just a real quick product experiment update, both on the Now V2 efforts and then on scoring. So this week we are releasing for learning the core navigation portion of the Now V2 project. And so this is the part that really took all the feedback we got from users, from our members for that first phase. We saw some of this in threads yesterday as people were trying out the new dashboard and felt a loss of control, couldn't find the graph, things like that. Well, we're releasing the new version that has just been hard to work on, what you see here, to focus on giving back that sense of agency and comprehension. So just a shout out that you can try this out, please help us test it. And what you'll see here is trying to retain the awareness of the insights and the comprehension of it through an animation and pinning the insights above the fold in exchange for the forced open full screen cards. So we'll be measuring this over the next week after we roll this out. And the next slide. This is a partial release. So what we really want to get to is including this navigation update alongside of the new score, the stability ring score that we've been developing with the research team and data science team. And this is going to lay the foundation for our behavior change efforts, all of these core stable rails that we build together in a system. But what I wanted to call out here was just the internal experimentation that we've been doing, the collaboration across research, data science, and PM to experiment and iterate on detecting the spikes so that this is grounded in science, but also framed in a mental model and user experience that is going to resonate with our members and help lay the foundation for that behavior change portion. So engineering started on the V1 of this implementation this week. Merlo and Justin are working on that. It'll be over the next 2 weeks. And meanwhile, data science research and design, we're all continuing to internally iterate on this and experiment on how we might adjust the parameters to make this both scientifically relevant and also conform to the user experience we want. That's it.
Very cool. Can't wait to see that once there's the algo in place as far as detection goes. It's just such an important part as far as behavior change goes. So very cool to see that. Love the stability ring, and it is awesome to see the iterations coming through. Hiring updates. We were on open roles. Open roles still open role for software engineers. So if anyone watching knows any great engineers, specifically mobile engineers, I believe we're going to open up a role relatively soon for senior mobile engineer. That would be great. And then visual designer, that role is still open. So if you know any great leads, please reach out to Alan or send them our way. We are here, individual contributions. So let's stop here. And let's go down the list. We'll start with, I'm just going to go vertically what I see here. So Ms., kick it off.
All right, I'm up. Awesome week meeting some SF folks in person. So really enjoyed that. And then we have a dinner tonight at Duende at Paul's restaurant, who you all know. So looking forward to that. I think Dr. Sarah Gottfried's joining us. Casey will be there. And so it'll be a nice meetup. And the other quick shout out I'll give is appreciate a lot of the work Michelle's been doing on the recruiting side. There's a lot of organization there. And the insane group effort on Liftoff is just really, really notable. So love seeing all the different functions come together, and just the machine work across functions is awesome. So thanks for that. And thanks, Mike, for a great assemblage week. Very much enjoyed the time with people.
Amazing. Have to take pictures for meetups. We need more and more of those. Enjoy Paul's restaurant too. And get Paul in the picture if you can too. Josh Clementi, first time participant, many time host.
Happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me, Ben. You handled the meeting well. Yeah, I'm excited to, I guess, professionally to be an attendee at my first Friday forum. This has been really fun. And I found that I absorb the information better when I am able to just focus on the information, which is cool. Unbelievable past week. I think it's a lot of things have come to fruition and are, I think, going to come breaking through the gates here shortly thereafter. A lot of this stuff is being, I think we're seeing some compounding benefits, and it's just amazing. It's really seeing Tim Ferriss's page go live, knowing that the IRB is live and that there is a second one waiting in the wings. It's all just very exciting and just an amazing effort. Really appreciate everybody, and had a good think week this week. Didn't get everything done. I'm going to do a little post-mortem on it, but excited to get this memo over the finish line.
And I'm guessing you're looking for other co-hosts so that you can participate in chat on a weekly basis now.
Yeah, maybe we'll do a round robin.
There you go. Chris Jones.
On the level standpoint, definitely lift off and just seeing every new channel. And it reminds me of just all the levels of like complexity, from how we handle VIPs to transfers to new orders and new checkout flows. So like the amount of work was just incredible. So I completely, huge +1 to what Ms. said in terms of how the team worked together. It was especially, I was especially proud to kind of watch the interaction with support and engineering as these things went live, the real-time updates around, we found a bug, we highlighted, engineering's all over it, fixes it, ships it, getting the people back on. So that was exceptional to watch, kind of that just happening organically, and that, very tight connection. So that was awesome to see. On a personal front, I'm extremely excited. Later on today, I should be getting my updated passport, which I've been like stressing out about, of like, am I going to miss my fishing trip over the 4th of July because it's like in the government's hands. So some random expedition, I think paid off. So like whatever. So I'm constantly waiting for the FedEx guy to show up and be like, all right, I can please go to that wonderful place up north.
We welcome you here, Chris Jones. We welcome you here. Sissy.
On the professional front, amazing updates from everyone today for Forum. Enjoyed cooking and playing pickleball for the first time with Ms. Sonia and Stadi. Turns out it's nothing like tennis. So sorry to my partner, Ms. We lost both games to Stadi and Sonia. Excited for dinner this evening. And on the personal front, I'm going to my first field day tomorrow. It's a friend's birthday, and his birthday theme is having a field day in Golden Gate Park. So going to be doing balloon tosses and 3-legged races and all wheelbarrow, all those summer camp things.
Nice. Amazing. Miss those. Miss all of those things, the tug of wars and fun things like that. Dom.
Yeah, personally, last night we got 4 goats to add to the farm. So we're kind of training our goats and getting them ready. Professionally, I'm excited to give a lightning talk later today, and putting together some slides right now. And it's a great exercise for a long-winded academic, because we're used to very comfortable giving like 1-hour talks, 2-hour talks, but it's been fun to knock down 100 slides into 3 or 4 slides for the lightning talk later today.
Nice. Well, you might just be buying yourself a spot as host for future forums. So here we go.
Oh, cool. Great.
Helena.
Professionally, I have to echo what Chris said about the interaction between engineering and support, squashing bugs. Like, I just happened to be lurking in the liftoff forum, and I kind of like saw this interaction as an outsider, and it was like back and forth, like so organized, everything got resolved. Like, that was so cool to see. And then personally, I'm in charge of babysitting 4 dogs next week. So I'm going to use this weekend to decompress and prepare myself for the barking.
Nice. Very cool. Full weekend ahead. Hui.
Yeah, really excited about the liftoff updates. Really enjoy the cooking class. I think the recipe is really simple, and the paella was very delicious, and it produced absolutely no change to my glucose, chart. So that's great. I'm planning to do it again on Sunday with, I guess, the rest of the ingredients I bought. Looking forward to dinner tonight. Personal wise, it has been a hot week, I guess, in terms of Bay Area standard for the past week, and the weekend will be cooler, so I'm going to enjoy that.
Nice. Very cool. Mr. Jason, you're up. I think you're on mute still.
Sorry. Yeah. Professionally, just super excited to go live with the data and analytics organization. I think Helena has done yeoman's work as the lone wolf data scientist for a while. But with Charu coming out of onboarding last week and myself coming off it today, we're going to hit the ground running. We met with a lot of teams already, and just super excited for our opportunity to contribute and really make a positive change. Personally, folks are in town for their final weekend, and I'm just going to take them to the coast and show them the rest of the area, and then relax for a bit.
Nice. And they finally know that that house is your house, which is the
right.
important thing. Jen.
Levels wise, really excited about liftoff, and the sandwich this week was super cool. It was my first one, so I really enjoyed all of that. And personally, my mother-in-law is coming into town tomorrow because we're going to take her to see Jack Johnson. So very excited about that.
Nice. That will be very, very fun. Maxine, the TV star.
Professionally, other than being featured on JM show, it's so exciting to be there. It's just been, liftoff has been so fun. I feel like my understanding of the organization has totally expanded during this, and it's been a real joy to work across the organization. So that's been amazing. And personally, funny enough, my friend and I are also having a field/game day tomorrow in Prospect Park. So if you're around, come through, play some games.
Nice. Amazing. Love hearing that too. Like, it's so cool just how everyone's lens and learning expands so much by having so much transparency, and it reinforces like the importance of what we're doing in documentation. So glad that that's been the experience. Mercy.
Professionally, liftoff, just really exciting. And then also the kind of timeline check-in over the past 3 years and how much has happened, I guess. It's just really cool to be part of it. Personally, just probably going to play more pickleball this weekend and yeah, spend time outside, but also try to stay cool.
Nice. Yet to try pickleball. Maybe I think it might just be a never happening thing, but we'll see. You can't say it till you've tried it. That's for sure. We'll go on to, why don't we go Mike D here?
Thanks, Ben. I'm Mike D, longtime listener, first time caller, and definitely +1 to liftoff, and seeing the Tim Ferriss email come into my inbox. It was pretty wild, and just really appreciate like our approach to most things, but specifically like on the partnership side, we're really in this to build relationships, and we always tell everybody we're playing the long game. We're not in here for transactions, and it's just awesome to really see that come together.
+1 to all of that. Michael, do you want to try? I saw you went on mute and off mute. Do you want to see if we can hear you again?
Is that better? Sorry about that.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah, no, professionally wrapping up things, and it ties in with personally because I'm about to go on vacation for the next 15 days out to Minnesota, where my wife's family is from. So a lot of lake time and a lot of fun time in the sunshine, and not complaining about sunshine from someone coming from California. But Midwestern vacation is a little bit different than beach vacations for my kids. So looking forward to family time and everything. And again, really appreciate the time giving me today. So great culture you guys have in your company here.
Amazing. Enjoy the Midwest summer. Enjoy the extended light. It's great with kids. And by that, I say it facetiously, but no, it truly is nice. Haney.
Professionally, I'll echo what Helena said. I was just lurking this week, kind of watching all the lift up stuff happen. And I feel like the real test of a culture is how does it work in the like what could potentially be the most stressful and crazy moments, and watching this culture hold the positivity, the support, the collaboration, the async nature was really inspiring. It was like a real moment of like, wow, Levels like really works. So that was super cool to watch. On the personal level, my kid has been doing circus camp this week. So this afternoon, I get to go watch a showcase of what he's been learning at circus camp.
Share secrets with Sunny. They can share notes. Mr. Riley Walker.
I'm going to riff off a couple of the comments I'd seen the team work together and work through problems with liftoff. So I think for me, this is my first async remote company, and I actually feel more connected to the problems we're solving and the team seeing all this happening. So huge testament to the way people communicate and document and stuff. I think it really helps.
Very, very cool. Sonia.
Sorry, I was frantically messaging Maxine about Minnesota things. Wow, professionally or levels wise, it's been so awesome to meet more folks here in SF. We had a really interesting and really nice conversation when we were cooking around like what makes this level culture so amazing. It's really, I think, the connections that are able to formed async and then continued when we have opportunities to meet in person are just really built on genuine kind of friendship and interest, not on gossip, not on any sort of common enemy or anything, because we really all are so invested in this mission and this work. So it was just a really nice time, and looking forward to dinner tonight and meeting more new people. Assemblage has been awesome. Thank you, Mike, for coordinating. I'm really looking forward to Dom, your lightning talk next. And then I guess sort of personally and professionally, last weekend I went to a really interesting event up at One Commune at the Commune Topanga. I put a little message in threads about it, and they're looking forward to our partnership, but it was really interesting. There was a conversation with two authors on the intersection of wellness and social justice, which is a very critically important topic, especially today and just overall. So I really enjoyed that and looking forward to future partnerships with One Commune.
Very cool. Yeah, it's been awesome to see how that's come together and how things have been explored further and further. Steph.
Hey, can you guys hear me all right? Yeah, okay. My AirPods aren't working, and so I'm going earphone or AirPodless. But yeah, levels wise, a couple things. I know no one joined the team specifically this week, but seeing just these teams within levels grow of the data science team and liftoff and all of these things happening in parallel has been so exciting to watch, and it's hard to keep up, but I guess that's a good thing. And I want to shout out to Hui. I've had such a fun time meeting with her and having her join as the like mobile team manager. And it's just really apparent that she wants everyone to rise up and she wants to help everybody grow. And so that's been a really positive experience so far. And personal wise, some people have seen this week through video calls, but I actually bought a trailer. And it's funny, we did the Digital Nomad podcast a couple like weeks or months ago. And a couple weeks after that, I was like, you know what, the Nomad itch is back and I just want to get on the road. And apparently living in the foothills of Colorado wasn't enough. And so I'm currently living and working out of this trailer, and it's going great so far. This is week 1, but just being able to like do big 13er or 14er hikes in the morning and go biking up to work and be in the mountains, I feel so alive. And it feels like a great balance in between being able to take my job to these great places where now I can, yeah, like have both the wilderness side of me honored and still keep a job that I love. And so, yes, that's it. And want a RV parked in the driveway, let me know and I will come visit you.
Love it. That is so cool to see and hear how that has transpired after the podcast that has inspired some of this thinking. And yeah, it's awesome. Love seeing levels remote and how everyone lives the values in such different ways. So very cool there. Tommy.
Hey everyone, happy Friday. This week was great along a number of different fronts, notably just liftoff and finally starting to tell folks that Dexcom is available, which is just so exciting because we've been chit-chatting about it with a lot of partners and VIPs for a long time. I'm also just about at 2 years with Levels, which is really surreal. So it's a particularly exciting week in part due to that. And then obviously Tim Ferriss was also really exciting and had a number of friends text me who saw it and just couldn't believe it. And had a few coworkers at my last company. We'd been trying to land Ferris for years and came nowhere close. So they were like, how the hell did you manage to do this? Like, what was the magic bullet? Like, you know, how did it happen? And I basically said, you know, no silver bullet here, just good product. And then we had probably 50 of Tim Ferriss's friends personally text him and email him and bother him about this, including Dom, who's on this call. So thank you, Dom. I think you were probably very influential. Dom's been on Tim's podcast multiple times, and Dom actually made it into the copy for the advertisement. We said, you know, they're backed by a world-class team, including people like Dom D'Agostino, who's been on the podcast multiple times. So thanks again for that, Dom. And yeah, personally, just up in Cape Cod at the beach with family. So spending some downtime with them.
Nice. Very, very cool. +1 to all of that. Tony.
Yeah, definitely do +1
to lift off and have to give a shout out to Mike, obviously, for an awesome assemblage again. And of course, all this awesome swag that I got the other day. So looking forward to showing it off.
Nice. Well, we are right 5 minutes early. We'll wrap it up here. Professionally, super stoked on Ferris. It's one of those sort of surreal things that it's live now, because being a Ferris fan for so long, it just seemed like this other world, and now we're here and watching that happen. So stoked on that, stoked on all the work that the entire team's done to get us there. And then checkout, just like seeing that, I remember seeing it as screenshots, like this is what it might look like. And then you go through the flow, all the work that Max has done and all the work that Alan's done, everyone's put in so much work, and just like seeing that, I'm like, this thing is live. Like that's the real thing. That's the thing you go through. And it's just very cool. So super stoked on that. Big hat tip to Mike D on all the assemblage work. There's a ton of coordination that goes into that. So appreciate how much he's been hammering on that. And then personally, my best friend is in from Nashville. So he has flown in. He's here for a couple of weeks, and we're going to spend the afternoon together. So really looking forward to that, because we don't get a ton of time to spend together. But when we do, it is very, very meaningful. So yeah, we're not sure what we're going to do. Maybe go jam, maybe go swing some golf clubs, but we'll see. He'll be here in precisely 4 minutes. So on that note, everyone have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week, Q3.